I can't talk to Nick anymore. He's too emotionally like he's been changed. You know what I mean?
No. I'm good.
Everything's emotional for him right now. He's
No,
not used to being in that
good.
world.
No, yeah, I
Don't
am
go
good.
there.
I'm moving forward.
He used to be a robot, and now he's a teddy bear. I kind of like it. He's cuddly. He's approachable.
These are all good things.
These are all this growth.
Yep. Yes.
Let's start with best supporting actor. Intern Sam. Should we end with Sam?
No, let's start with Sam because we can all learn from Sam.
This is true. Yeah.
So I'm gonna start with Sam.
My instincts were the same. Go for it, Sam.
Right.
Who do you got for best supporting actor?
Well, I think it's important that we list out the nominees first.
Okay.
Kind of get a feel for the category.
This is actually Sam's superpower, listing options. It's what he does on the show. I'm sorry.
I gotta bring my specialty to the live stream. So, actor in a supporting role.
What the God?
See, so I'm gonna have to do my best here because I'm not
To say
entirely
the
sure. I'm not entirely sure to pronounce this actor's name, but Yura Borisov from
Yura
Anora.
Borisov.
You nailed it.
Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain.
Mm-hmm.
Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown. Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice.
Okay, so are there people in your mind, Sam, that were snubbed? Who isn't on this list that should be on this list?
I believe his name is, I think it's Clarence Macklin from Sing Sing. I believe that's his name.
Okay.
But that
What a call.
he stands as, I mean, he should have won it, if you ask me. Sing Sing as a whole is pretty underrepresented, but I think that performance especially is really brilliant and is easily a contender here, especially when we
Is it
kind
a
of look at
spoiler to talk about Sing Sing?
No, I don't think so.
Should people have seen it and like know the trick by now, or no?
I think Sing Sing. I think speaking about it will give it the attention it deserves. I think is what I would say.
Okay.
Because I think that not enough people are speaking.
Anyone who hasn't seen Sing Sing, cover your ears right now. Give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Everyone but Coleman Domingo and like 2 other people in the movie are not actors, but actual prisoners.
Right.
Oh, wait, they talked about that on like Good Morning America.
I know, but not everybody watches Good Morning America.
No,
I just want to let you know.
No, I'm not saying
Yeah.
specifically that show. I'm just saying that word is out.
Okay, good. So this guy, if you didn't know, is and the only reason I mentioned it is because I had my friend Ashley over last night, and she had not even heard of the movie. So it just shows you what kind of bubble you're in. And I know you guys can relate to that. Like we talk about these movies. All 10 of the Best Picture nominees, most people outside of Dune and Wicked have never heard of them. They've never heard of the movie, and she had never heard of Sing Sing. And this is a black female. You would think she might know a Coleman Domingo movie. Nope, didn't know it, and knew nothing about the movie. So I was like, okay, I won't ruin it for you by telling you that little factoid that's going to hit you at the end of the movie when they reveal it. Because when I watched it initially in the spring, it was like that was like a hammer dropping because I was sure those were actors.
It was the same for me. Yeah, and I even saw it in the summer. They kept it real quiet.
I agree with you is what I'm saying, Sam. I think that was a major snub. Spot on.
I think he's, and to be fair, like I think these are good nominations. I'll be honest here. I think Yura Borisov is probably the weakest here, and I would say that just because I do think there's actually better. I think there's actually better supporting actor performances in Anora.
Yeah.
So I think that's just sort of going to come with that, right? Like that's a pretty dynamic cast, and just he serves as the kind of. He's probably the most important of them, if I would say, or like if we look at it, I think he serves the best kind of purpose from a narrative perspective.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they chose him as the candidate from Anora. But I think that if we look at, some of the other characters, the the kind of enforcer character in that movie, I think
He was
is
great.
Sean
So
Baker's
funny.
staple. He's great. I think
Yeah.
he really killed it, and I think that there's a couple
Most
other
underrated
characters.
thing about Honora is how funny it is.
Oh yeah, totally agree.
Like
100%.
people see the premise and they think, okay, another story about a hooker, going to the other side or whatever. It's so funny, and
Yeah,
it's just so well done and so original. And Sean Baker's been Sean Bakering like that for years. Like he's like the bomb.
absolutely.
Like I love it. Now I don't have a snub, but I have someone who I'm glad didn't get on the list, but is always on the list. It seems like, or I guess would have been good for the show if he were on the list. To be honest, and that's Stanley Tucci from Conclave.
Yeah, I agree.
To have him nominated would have been really great for the show. And we cannot forget that
Well,
this is a show.
and he's an
and-
awesome
yeah.
actor in general.
And
Like
he's an awesome actor.
let's not get
Yeah,
it twisted. He's a
100%.
great performer. It's just in that movie, I do agree.
Yeah, and he's a style god. And so shout out to Stanley Tucci. But I said on this very show that like there were scenes where I thought Ralph Fiennes and Stanley's performances were kind of imbalanced in that, like, because how
I agree.
good Ralph was being and how good Isabella Rossellini was being. Like, oh my God. Like I was like, wow, you can, when you put two people in the same frame, that's how you can tell really. It's so subjective, right? Like acting, who's a better actor? There may not ever be a best, but it's when they're in the same frame together and you see those differences, that's where you can be like, oh, that person's just a little bit different. You know what I mean? They're going to a bit of a different place. Okay. So who do you have, Sam, winning this thing?
I have Guy Pearce, The Brutalist.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going
Yeah, I think, and it was tough. I'm not gonna lie. I really liked Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice. I thought he was great, but I think Guy Pearce does something that I didn't know he could do. He brings this kind of
Shout out to Guy Pearce.
definitely. I mean, he's a great actor, and
Yeah.
I think that he's supremely underrated. Sort of given this, we'll talk about this later, but a very similar kind of opportunity that Demi Moore was given to kind of represent himself as
Yeah.
a serious actor, late stage or not late stage, but later in his career.
Yeah.
And I think he brings it. I think he makes the movie in a lot of ways. I think that the movie's great too, but I think that he really brings this gravitas and this sort of over, not overacting, but that just energy that the movie needed that no other character was bringing.
He
And
was
he does
also
something so
a character.
different.
He built a character from scratch. Like he made the whole thing was like the way he dressed, the way he crossed his legs, the way he smoked a cigarette, the way his hair was combed. Everything about him was really a performance, and it helped you dig into a movie that frankly is, yeah. I mean, it's a very long movie, and I thought he did a good job of adding that dynamic to the film, and frankly, that dynamic exists in film so often. By the way, like here's your EP, or basically your patron saint, and here's your artist, and how those dynamics work alongside each other. Another thing that Brutalist did, and by the way, for those watching, you're watching our first ever live stream, Oscar pre-show. Thank you for joining. If you're on here, thank you for supporting us, and we're going to do this more often. So this is the first of many. The Brutalist kind of hid the fact, and I thought really well, that it borrowed a lot from the original film from the 40s, The Fountainhead, and that it was really an homage to The Fountainhead. And The Fountainhead, if you don't know, is a book by Ayn Rand. And I thought part of The Brutalist profunded, what's the word, Nick? Profound, when you want to say profound as a adjective, like profundity.
Profundity.
Yeah, it was because it was pulled from, notes from that book, which is I always say, like, if you read Rand in your 20s, it's really impactful. If you read her in your 40s, it's really bad because in your 40s, you're like, this is not good writing. I think I'm going to stop. But if you read her in your 20s, you're just reading it for the ideas because you're trying to figure out what your parents lied to you about your whole life. You see what I mean? It's like it hits you hard. And for so many people, the Atlas Shrugged is not approachable. It's 1,200 pages, and Fountainhead is very approachable. Like you can get into that, and so the Brutalist did a good job with that. But I love the pick. I think a very good chance that's going to win. I did not pick that. Spoiler alert. Nick, who do you have?
I went for Kieran Culkin. Real Pain. I think it's going to be because what's funny is that I'm sure Sam is looking at every individual film, and I kind of look across the whole thing, right? And look at all of the films that are nominated and look at what films to me are guaranteed to take certain things and then kind of not necessarily like what's left over, right? But it's like you look at these other things, you're like, out of all of these films, I mean, again, across this entire list, like, will the Real Pain win anything else?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not so sure, but I think that's the opportunity to celebrate that film and Kieran Culkin's performance. And he's been one of those as well, where I think he's no, Stanley Tucci in my mind, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he's had a lot of roles and in a lot of things. And I don't think he's gotten that, that position on the stage. Right. Yeah. And I think this is a really good opportunity for him. And yeah, so I kind of looked at it like that, like not just the individual film, but across the gamut of films here. I'm like, yeah, that's the one where A Real Pain could win.
Papa Bear.
Well, everybody's aware that I'm retired, and what that means is I don't have time.
I don't think everybody's aware of that.
Wait.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, I seem to be working right now.
Exactly.
So I don't have time to go to the movies. I've seen none of the movies, but what I did as a special treat is I asked AI who would win. Who does AI predict?
So going forward, so everybody knows that you are our AI representative. Go ahead.
I'm representing AI, and we'll see how AI does at the end.
Can I please ask you which AI you queried?
Venice.
Venice AI. Shout out to Venice AI. Hopefully we'll have more on them coming up soon. But anyway, go ahead, Papa Bear.
All right, so Venice AI believes, just like Nick, that it's going to be Kieran Culkin.
Wow.
Kieran Culkin.
Okay, I did not know that was gonna that is fascinating. Okay, so
you want to talk about that?
He's definitely the favorite.
Was there a response to that Venice gave as to why they thought Kieran?
Well, all the responses are relatively the same, and that's that they compiled all the talk in all the articles. And, and it apparently he got the most media hype, I guess, about his role.
He ran kind of the board when it came to all the other award ceremonies. So like
Did he win SAG?
Let me check. I think
Did he win
so.
BAFTA?
I think so. I mean, he won, I think, all of them.
Hey, real quick, there's a caveat that I want to share real quick to what the AI says. And that caveat is that AI is going to respond based off of how you query it. Yeah. So it all depends on whether or not you asked it how to derive the results or whether or not you left it to it. So did you just say, who do you think is going to win? Or did you tell it how to determine
what was your prompt?
Who was going to win?
So here's what I did. I treated AI like AI was a person.
Yep.
And I said, who do you predict will win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor?
Got it. Okay.
Did it that way.
Yeah. Open query.
Query. Okay. Well, I think Kieran winning would be great for the show. Like, is that fair to say? Like, I think it would be be awesome for the show. And I think
a story. It's a good headline.
Right. And I think it's such a touching story to that community as well. Right. Like the trip that happened in that movie, I did myself in 2023 along with you, Papa Bear. We basically did that trip. You don't need to go see the movie. Yeah, you lived it in when we went to Auschwitz and we went through Poland and did all that stuff. We basically and we went to all those locations where the original, where Schindler's List was shot and all that stuff. Like, what an amazing! I haven't even talked to Nick or Sam about that trip. Not really. It's like there's so many pictures and so much to share about that. I loved A Real Pain. I thought it was a great movie. I think it's so much. It's so difficult to write an original screenplay and then get it shot and get it made in a world where IP is really what sells and finances films. So just shout out to that whole team, but I didn't have Kieran winning it. I did go with my heart a little bit on this. I do think I'm going to be wrong. So this is kind of the difference between who you think is going to win and who you are picking, I guess. And I picked Jeremy Strong. Now you knew I was going to pick that, Sam.
It's a good pick. I think it's a good one.
Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. I think The Apprentice is the most underrated movie of the year, arguably. Certainly the most underrated biopic.
Yeah,
Sebastian
100%.
Stan is great. I talked to a few people and they were like, yeah, I didn't watch it because it was about, I just don't. And I heard people say that about Conclave. I didn't watch it because I literally have a friend that said to me yesterday that I won't watch Conclave because the Catholic Church is a criminal organization. And I was like, okay, fine. I can compartmentalize.
They have their
I don't want to hang out
right?
with Michael Jackson, but I'm not going to stop listening to his music. I don't want to hang out with R. Kelly, but I'm not going to stop listening to his music. I can compartmentalize. If that makes me a shit person, I guess, whatever it is.
No. Everyone has their opinions on that. And then it's just the type of thing, like some people are just triggered, right? That's the main thing, is that they don't want to watch it because it's triggering for them and they'd rather not, right? So they're willing to lose out on the experience because the trigger is that much more worse. It's that much worse and they'd rather not.
Okay. So quick recap. We have Sam going with Guy Pearce, Nick and AIPB going with Kieran Culkin, and then me going with Jeremy Strong.
And
Apprentice.
Real quick, I definitely think it's wishful thinking for Guy Pearce. I think when you look at it, I looked it up here. Kieran won the BAFTA, the Golden Globe, the SAG. He won it all. I really do think it's probably going to go to Kieran. Sure. I just think Guy Pearce is better. I think he's a better pick.
Here's my critique of Kieran Culkin's performance. Kieran Culkin was just being the same guy he was in Succession, just without money.
Yeah.
It was Kieran Culkin being Kieran Culkin. Now, I think if someone wanted to push back on me on that, it would be the fact that, like, that's what makes a good actor is they are so sort of authentically themselves all the time that they can take any role and it just sort of fit into their mannerisms. So, whatever, take that for what it was.
Cool.
But I saw Kieran Culkin.
I mean, I think that's kind of like Harrison Ford was, in a certain day where it was just like, you knew it was Harrison Ford, but he could be the president or he could be whatever, but it was still him at the core. So it's like, drop him as a character into the role and somehow it works.
Well, they also write it around it,
Yeah. So, versus like when I see The Rock, I just see The Rock. Like I don't, then that doesn't work for me. I just like, he's not that character. So anyway, go. Sorry, Sam.
No, I was just saying, they'll write the movie around it. I also do want to give Edward Norton a shout out here.
We kind of left him out there.
He's great and a complete unknown. I just think at the end of the day, he's doing something not exactly, not the same or really even fully similar to Guy Pearce and Jeremy Strong, but it's kind of a shade of that. And he's coming in a kind of the weakest of it. And granted, that's incredible company to keep. Those two are incredible performers and incredible performances in themselves. But I think that, he's a very worthy and very, very deserved nomination here. I just don't think it's, he doesn't cross the line, basically.
It was the nature of the movie and the nature of the role too. Edward Norton sort of had to play this guy who, by the nature of his character, isn't someone who can really ruffle the feathers too much because he needs Bob Dylan so much. You know what I mean? Right. So anyway, moving on.